DRL, we break the chains. No brakes, no fear, no slowing down. The checkered flag is calling, we're the crown. Degenerate race league, where the tough survive. Living for the moment we're born to drive. With steel and speed, we own the track. No looking forward, 'cause we won't look back. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit, take the lead. In the DRL, we race with greed. From the streets to the asphalt, we own it all. Rising like thunder, hear the call. Push it to the limit, take the lead. In the DRL, we race with greed. Degenerate race league, where the tough survive. Living for the moment we're born to drive. With steel and speed, we own the track. No looking forward, 'cause we won't look back. Astounding, crowd shouting, victories within reach, no doubting. We're champions, born in the fight. In the DRL, we own the night. Degenerate race league, this is our creed. Fast and furious, it's all we need. It's all we need. It's all we won't look like. We own the track. We own the night. We own the night.
It's time, once again, for everyone's favorite news segment, Know Your DGen. Tonight's featured driver is from the Pro-Am class and is none other than Season 5 champion Don Donovan. Don hails from the United States of America, specifically the Sunshine State, Florida. We cannot confirm nor deny that Don was, in fact, the original Florida man. Don's always been a fan of tight tracks, which is why he loves the roller coaster ride of Bathurst. But he's also a man of leisure, never saying no to a little R&R at Spa. Don goes both ways, as long as it's long. The lap time, of course. When it comes to real-world racing, Don didn't pick hometown hero Logan Sargent, no. Instead, he went with the 7-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton. And for his proudest DRL moment, easy, the insane season-long brawl with Arcturus Hermanis back in Season 5 for the championship. It was fierce, it was relentless, and in the end, Hermanis learned exactly what it's like to finish runner-up to Don. Oh yeah, that's the move. Some drivers brake late. Don just breaks hearts, mostly Hermione's. And that's this edition of Know Your DGen. Remember, if tonight's featured driver wins their class, we're dropping 5 Twitch subs to our followers. So hit that follow button and maybe send Hermione's a sympathy card while you're at it.
Hello and welcome everybody. We are back for another round of ACC here in Season 7 of the Degenerate Racing League. Hope you all enjoyed our Know Your DGen segment put together by our wonderful Dan De La Torre. Let's have a look at our schedule. We've been to Misano for round 1. Round 2, we were at Coda last week. Apologies for no broadcast in that race. All of our commentating staff happened to be away at the same time. But we are back this week for Mystery Track, where drivers did not know what they were in for until 5 minutes before practice server opened, and give themselves 1 hour to get accustomed to the track, and then we will jump into quali here in a few moments' time. This week, the Mystery Track is Imola. So as the drivers found out, we are racing. Next week, we are off to Kailami, and in this season, we're going to do a reverse grid at that race. So drivers will start that race in reverse order of their championship standings based on their class. So more to come for that. That'll be fun next week. Round 5, we're off to Indianapolis. We got another mystery track for round 6, Paul Ricard, and then we're going to finish things off at the NERB 24 hour. As always, a big thank you to our Patreon subscribers. You keep the lights on here at DRL, help us to keep this league going with the tools and websites and software, lots of stuff. So appreciate all you folks here that you see on the screen. A big thank you. Well, let's have a look at our standings after the first 2 rounds. So obviously we run a single drop round in our 8 race season. So standings haven't changed too much. Our top 3 in the pro still has Neil Kerbal leading the way with 51 points. Darren Wicks in P2 with 45, and Kyle Hirsch taking that 3rd spot, tied with Nathan Henderson. Again, we're only looking at 1 race so far with 40 points. Over in Pro-Am, it's a pretty similar story. Albert Gania sitting in first place with 2 wins in a row, running at 51 points. Evans Brogg missed last week, but his P2 from round 1 still keeping him in P2 overall with 45 points. And Don Donovan hanging on to that 3rd spot with 40. And a look at our AM class. Damian Zawoski leading the way there with the 51 points. Alan Leung in P2 with 45. Tied with Senior Turugo, also with 45 points. And let's have a quick look at our constructor standings. We'll just review the top 3 here. We got Hirsch Racing leading the way with 99 points, Rogue Element Racing with 96 points, and Morgan Motorsports with 90 points. Well, let's jump on track while drivers are finishing up practice. Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Morgan Dino and I'm alongside Dan De La Torre. We'll bring you the stream tonight. I'm going to hand it over to Dan, who's going to be the one to give us our race by race action. How's it going, Dan?
Good, thank you, Morgan. It is exciting to be back for another race. Sad we missed a great race in Coda, but here we are on the wonderful track of Imola. I don't know how you feel about it, but it's definitely one of my personal favorite tracks to drive.
Yeah, Imola is always a fan favorite. It's one that I've always done well at as well, myself. I know this track really well, going back to my F1, playing the F1 game days. This is a staple there. So, yeah, I love Imola. I think it is a fan favorite, and we should see some good racing tonight.
Absolutely, and the cliche with GT3 racing, especially in ACC, is it's hard to overtake in these cars. This track gives a lot of great opportunities, a lot of chicanes, a lot of slow corners where we can see drivers really throw their car into the inside and try to make that move. Whether it's in the first turns, whether it's in the last couple turns, there's a lot of great opportunities, so we should have some really exciting race tonight. It's always interesting when we have these mystery tracks because the drivers, they don't get the practice time. And what we're going to see is some of those drivers who spend a lot of time during the week are going to lose that practice advantage, whereas some of those drivers who don't have as much time are going to find themselves on more of a playing field. We might open ourselves for more incidents, whether it's missed braking points, late dives, just a little bit more uncomfortable with your markers on the track. So we are in for a thrilling night tonight. I really cannot wait as we finish up these final 4 minutes of free practice here. We got a tight battle in the standings between Neil Kerbel and Darren Wicks, and it is continuing on the track as Darren looks to make his first victory of the season. He's finished in second place twice so far, while Neil's finished in first both times. So it'll be exciting to see if Darren can finally conquer the great Neil Kerbel as he looks to win his first race of the season. He has him up by a hundredth of a second right now. And Worley, who's, correct me if I'm wrong here, Morgan, this is his first race of the season with us, is right there in the mix with them as well.
Yeah, I think Worley joined us last week maybe when the rest of us were away for Coda, but yeah, he's here and for his second round, I believe now, and curious to see how he stacks up.
Yep, and then we got another new name on the grid tonight in the pro category as well. I might butcher this here, but Chronotis, who I don't think is a stranger to DRL, but is back after quite a few seasons off.
Yeah, it's been a couple seasons since Chronotis joined us. We've obviously done some collaboration races with Trackalicious where Chronotis is one of the admins over there. So yeah, stoked to see him join us for this race. He sent me a message and said he heard there was mystery tracks, and that's why he is here.
All right, well, it's great to see we're attracting people, and anyone who's out there who may want to join us, please join the Discord. We'd love to have you racing with us. And just to comment on Standalone, who's a big Evan Zaborg fan, I know you're really rooting for him out there tonight. He is in our Pro-Am class, and he is looking to put on a show for Standalone. So Standalone, keep an eye on your buddy here. So let's run up and down the grid here as we have our final 2 minutes. We got Darren Wicks right now currently topping the charts for free practice, followed by Neil Kerbel, Worley, Chronotis, Cook. Hermanis is leading the Pro-Am category. This is his first race back from his 2-race hiatus. So it is exciting to see Hermanis back on track as he battles with Don Donovan. Season 5 rivals, looking to be rivals again. Their times show they will be battling out again. Tyler Morgan is blowing out the AMs right now with a 2/10 lead over Taruga, who's in 10th. They are split by Spencer Braun, currently in 9th place. 11th is Giania. I'm probably going to keep saying his name wrong. I'm sorry about that. Then we have returning from the dead, Sam Bozak himself, Evan Zaborg, and then we have Damian Zawatsky, 2-time winner so far in the AM category, looking to continue that streak tonight. He's got a long way to make up on Taruga and Tyler Morgan, but as we saw in race 1, it doesn't matter how you practice, and it doesn't even matter how you qualify. What matters is how you finish the race. Don Fossman's right there, Alan Leung, and Malott as well, who is returning. We're excited to see what happens in what should be a great race tonight amongst all the classes. A lot of tight battles up here.
Yeah, it should be super exciting, and just a special note for John Malott. Man's racing with an injury. I believe his wrist is actually in some kind of a brace. So I know he'd mentioned he's had a little more difficulty with hanging onto the wheel and the force feedback. So still awesome to see him show up despite driving with an injury.
Absolutely. Wishing him nothing but the best, a speedy recovery, and hopefully a podium tonight. Be great to see him come back and find himself standing on the top. All right, we got about 10 seconds here before we finish up our free practice, and just a reminder for all you out there, the way qualifying works here at DRL is it's split into 2 different groups. We have the first 10 minutes and the second 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes are going to be the amateurs. The second class is going to be the Pro-Ams and the pros. They will be splitting it up, each getting 10 minutes to put up their best time for qualifying.
Yeah, that's right, Dan. Qualifying format changed a little bit, obviously, this year from last. AMs have typically gone out with AMs and Pro-Ams together. I think we've done that, and then pros out. This year we switched it up a little bit just due to class sizes. We're gonna let AMs out first and stick the pros and pro-ams together. We got the old, as our friend Sagar, who I see was in the chat. I don't know if you're still watching, Sagar. We got our old friend Evan Zabrog here, formerly nicknamed the Cocaine Cowboy. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Evan driving a kokanee car, not a cocaine car. Finishing up his last attempt to go a bit faster at Imola here in ACC.
Green light, go, go, go.
All right, and here we go. We are ready for qualifying, as we will see who will dive out of the pits first. Another important rule of qualifying is you cannot overtake any drivers. Unless they go off the track and invalidate on their lap, then they have to give that position back. So the position you go out can make a big difference, because if you're behind someone who you're faster than, so you have a slow driver in front of you, that can compromise your lap, and it can be tricky to put in your best time. So you need to make sure you either give yourself a big enough gap or you get out there immediately. So there's two strategies. Some drivers, like Tyler here, who will dive out immediately and try to gain that track position. Other drivers will wait and let the drivers get about halfway out of their out lap before they leave the pits and give themselves a nice little gap. So we're following along with Tyler here. Let's kind of see what Tyler can do as he works his way through the track, heats up his tires a little bit, and gets ready to put up the best lap he can. Can he hold his P1 that he put up in free practice? We will find out shortly.
Yeah, Dan, I'm not sure where you stood on that when you're talking about who goes out or when you go out. You know, I was always in the camp that I usually waited until most of the pack was out before I went, just so I had for a couple reasons. One, I could do the outlap speed that I wanted, and then two, I had a big gap. A lot of people bolt out really early and they get all bunched up, and then sometimes you get a bit of a queue before the start finish line. Where did you sit? What did you like to do? Did you go out early, or did you wait it up as well?
I always like to wait as long as I could to go out. I felt that if I had a driver behind me and someone who closed on me, it was too much pressure that I'd put on myself to try to be faster, and I would overdrive sometimes, and I'd invalidate laps, go too fast. So I preferred to have no one behind me. I can control the car in front of me, and I can just set the best pace that I possibly can.
Nice. Yeah. Same mentality for me.
All right, so we got Tarugo here, who's starting his first lap. He's going to come down to Tamburello, chicane that you can take at a pretty good speed. Really want to make sure that you focus on the exit of that. Using the full length of the track there. Villeneuve is definitely a corner, whereas we can see from Fossman, it's easy to take too much speed on the second one. You can take a ton coming into turn 5, but turn 6, you really got to slow it down. And it's very easy to invalidate there, like we just saw Don Fossman do.
Yeah, it's also really easy to get on those sausage curbs. I think that's what bounced him wide. You take turn 1 a little too aggressively, especially in some of the cars that don't ride the curbs as well, and McLaren obviously being one of them. It can definitely bounce the car, lose traction, and send you wide.
Yeah, so true. Those sausage curbs can just be absolutely devastating sometimes. Very rarely can you use them. I mean, a general rule of thumb I always followed was avoid the sausage curbs. All right, we got Tyler. I believe he's finishing his lap here, unless he invalidated somewhere alongside of it. Let's see what he can put up. A 143.3. Great lap from Tyler to start this off. We should have Tarugo coming up behind him. We will see what Tarugo is able to put up through his lap. We have Fossman coming up next behind him, who it did invalidate, so he should not have a valid time here. As correct, as he looks to put up his time, and You know, sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to invalidate through that first lap. Usually it's not going to be your best lap anyways, as you're just kind of getting back for the feel of the track. We see Leung putting up almost 2 full seconds behind Tyler. Zawadzki is right there, 8/10ths behind Tyler, really showing how strong of a lap that was from Tyler right out of the gates. And I don't know how you feel about it, Morgan, but I think there's definitely some confidence you instill in yourself when you come out with that strong of a first lap in your qualifying run.
Yeah, for sure. It's always so nice to get a banker in. You get that banker in place, then you can kind of can comfortably start pushing. I didn't really pay attention too closely at what his best time was in practice, but if he's anywhere near it, yeah, being able to set a time on your first go just allows you to push a little harder each lap after that for the rest of your 10 minutes.
So we did see Zawadzki invalidate there. So he's going to have to work his way through here as he looks to put up another one, get his car ready to go. Tarugo must have invalidated somewhere on that lap because he hasn't put up a valid time yet either. Fossman, we know he didn't put up a valid time. And actually looking at this, Malott has not left the pits. So it looks like Malott is going to make the conscious choice to start from the back of the grid and play it safe, which honestly is not the worst strategy in the world. Avoid all that turn 1 chaos.
Yeah, it might work, and especially like if he's dealing with that injury, he might just be more comfortable seeing how he fares from the back and relying on other drivers' mistakes.
Absolutely, and this definitely can be a hairy, I guess technically it's turn 2 on the track, but the first big turn, it can be a bit hairy because you're going to that chicane and everyone's always trying to make positions, as we see Tarugo invalidate again, but he did get a lap in 1.2 seconds behind Tyler, so really showing to be a strong lap from Tyler. But as I was saying, the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, as you're going through that first chicane, it can be hairy as you have all these cars side by side. No one's giving up position. They say you can't win on the first lap, but you can lose. No one ever follows that train of thinking. Everyone always tries to gain as many positions as they can. So yeah, really not the worst decision from Malott to just kind of hang in the back and see how many places he can pick off, which historically through DRL, Malott's been great at making up places. Great race pace by Malott, a very consistent driver.
Looks like Don Fossman was stopped for a long time. He's been on this current lap for almost 3 minutes here, so I don't know if he had technical issues and pulled over to the side of the track. He's yet to set a valid lap time, and this won't be it either.
Yeah, he's going to have enough time for 1, maybe 2 more if he really pushes through, but this is going to have to be Don's lap here. He's not going to want to leave himself, just a few seconds to get across that finish line one more time, and if he does invalidate, he's probably going to lose too much time to finish another lap. As we get through the first chicane good, we get to the second chicane here, and this is where he invalidated on his first lap a little too much on the sausage curb, and he's able to slow the car down enough. He gets a great exit there as he comes into the great Tosa corner. Don's looking really good right now as he comes through. I think he will be okay there, but really using every inch that's available to him. To get to Aqua Minerale, this is another place to invalidate on the lap. Does a great job of working his way through it.
Looking tidy so far. I mean, I think Don at this point is hoping probably just to get a valid lap in.
Yeah, absolutely. I know certainly that's where my mind would be at. And we see Zawadzki's made it through the line, and he's cut 3/10ths off his lap time, so he may try to get one more good lap in and see if he can make a push on Tyler, who I think Tyler's maybe improved by 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, and Tyler, from what I can see, looks like he's up on this lap as well, and by a good chunk. So I think we're going to see that time drop into the 142s. Possibly further.
And Fossman, he puts up a great lap, actually. Yeah, Tyler gets down, wow, all the way to 142.03. What a lap by Tyler. A second and a half ahead of the next AM driver. Now, what will be really interesting is Tyler may find himself mixed up with some Pro-Ams which how will that affect Tyler's race at all if he finds himself battling maybe some drivers that are in his separate class from him? And to be honest, Tyler could probably compete with a lot of these Pro-Ams as our rating AM champion. However, it is a bit of a different mindset when you're racing drivers from different classes, and I know Tyler has always taken a mindset that if you're not in his class, he's not really racing you. So how will that kind of play into him? Maverick, welcome to the chat. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for the
oh, go ahead.
Thanks for the shake and bake there, Maverick. Redeeming some channel points. Yeah, just a reminder, anybody watching, we've got our channel points available. They're hooked back up again this week. Had them off for the last couple weeks there, just while we didn't have the right broadcasting software in place. But we're back in business with our channel points.
So I was chatting at Maverick here. I'm not sure if Fossman invalidated or not. He did put up a great lap, found himself in third place, but Tarugo and Leung have been able to get past him. So we'll see if we have one more lap out of Fossman here, if he's able to cross the line here and finish. He didn't pull into the pit, so I think he's going to have something here. And he does get above Leung by a tenth of a second, so a great lap from Fossman, who really came through at the end. Took that pressure, and as he ran with it, he's going to dive into the sand to get out of the ways, because it is round 2 of qualifying. We have our pros and our pro-ams.
Looks like Leung still finishing up a lap that is valid. I think he did cross the line in time. It's going to be close to see if he can jump back ahead of Fossman. It's going to be real tight.
Got to make about a tenth of a second, so we'll see.
And he doesn't quite do it.
All right, so now we're into our second session of qualifying, our pros and our pro-ams as they all work their way out. And I think this is a great time to hop into the cockpit with the driver, and let's do a full lap here. So, Morgan, why don't you surprise us with one of these drivers who's going to be getting ready to start, and we can hop in with them and get our hot lap experience that way.
You got it. Well, let's hop on board with our overall leader, Neil Kerbel.
Great job of using all the curves there through Tamburello. He's going to make his way to Villeneuve. You can take that first one really fast, but you really got to slow the car down for that second part of the chicane. Here you really got to focus on that exit speed. He slides a little bit, but not too bad. So he's going to work his way up the hill here. Got another high-speed turn here. You really want to make sure you're utilizing all the track, which he does great there. Aqua Minerale. So you really got to slow down. Is he going to go too wide? No, he holds on to it. That's a very easy spot to lose the car. I know from experience. The chicane here where you really want to use the curves. One of the few times, at least on this track, I can think if you really want to use those sausage curves to your advantage. Let's work our way down here. We have a downhill braking section, which can throw you off a little bit because you're moving downhill as you're braking. Again, you want to make sure you get great exit speed here to line up that long straight to the finish. Neil does a great job at always, and let's see where he kind of time that he's going to put up. How about that? Falls in right behind Tyler Morgan. But Worley's going to put up the top time so far with a 141.6, which, crazy enough, is only 0.3 faster than what Tyler put up. So I know this is just the first run for our pros, but that just really shows how strong of a lap that Tyler put up. Wow.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Tyler definitely pulled in a huge amount on his last lap. There is something to be said about it taking a couple laps for tires to get into their optimal grip range, but still, to be at the top of the boards, even once pros have started setting even the first laps, that's huge. You know, in past seasons, not something we saw too often. So Tyler showing that he knows Imola. We know it's one of his favorite tracks, and looking forward to seeing how he stacks up once qualifying's done.
Absolutely. Right now we're on with Chronotis. Good old car, 420. Nice and green as it should be. First race here for the season. Will be interesting to see how he does, not only in qualifying, but with racing. I find it always takes a little bit of time to adjust to how other drivers, to their driving style. But this was me coming from the AM category. Morgan, for you, did you ever feel like that's a thing coming in, especially in the pro category, learning how other drivers drive? Or at that level, is everyone just so similar that it's not as big of a deal?
Well, I think the way we've always run our league, welcoming basically to all skill levels. Anytime someone new, like even, you know, being in the pro category myself, someone new that joins the grid in any of the other classes, it always takes a couple races to understand how that driver races, because sometimes you get, you know, you run into lapped traffic, and if you have a driver you've never raced with before, you don't know what their behavior is going to be like. So yeah, I mean, I always took the approach, if I didn't know how somebody raced, I always, you know, approached them with caution. But, you know, having driven with, being obviously been around since league inception, driven with a lot of these guys that have been here around a long time, I know who will drive in what way and what I can get away with.
Yeah, very, very true. So right now we've seen Darren worked his way up. Chronotis has worked his way up. Tyler still is just an extremely competitive time, even after a couple runs here. Neil, half a second down under Worley, not what we saw from the practice session. So I gotta think he's got another half a second in him somewhere. A really great tight grid though. You look at this thing up and down, we have 10 drivers within a second of each other.
Yeah, it's real tight, and that's what I love about Imola, is it does seem to be, again, because it's a bit of a fan favorite of the game in general. A lot of drivers probably have a lot of hours on this track. It does seem to bring the times pretty close. It's not Monza, but it's not far off, right?
Absolutely, very true. It's a great track. It's a fun track too. I think a lot of drivers enjoy driving it. So they have experience driving them. It's not one of those tracks that they tend to avoid, so it's new to them. It's a common track in other motorsports, especially some of our drivers come from F1, so you have some experience with that track layout. But now, Morgan, we got a question from the chat for you. Maverick wants to know, when he joined the league, what was your first impression? New star, maybe? A young genius, maybe? Or just drop the band hammer, this guy is an insane lunatic and we need to get him out of here right away?
Yeah, well, Vladislav, not admin Maverick, showed up with a big presence, let's say. No, we love Vlad's personality. Fantastic driver, actually. Saw him really improve skill even since joining us. I know he raced in other leagues and some of our partner leagues in Trackalicious and some of the others. Before coming over to DRL, so knew a little bit about him before he joined, but yeah, really saw his racecraft improved. He's now gone full diehard iRacing degenerate, and even though he said he would race in this season, has so far only showed up to race 1.
Yeah, in his defense, I do believe he is out in the forest admiring the big, tall redwood trees. So I hope you're enjoying that, because that is quite an amazing sight if you've never got to see them before. And, one thing for me with Vladislav that I'll have to say is I was absolutely shocked when I found out how long he had been sim racing for. Vlad, cover your ears so your head doesn't blow up too much, but I've found him to be very fast for how little time he spent behind sim race. So that's definitely something exciting, and definitely a driver of passion. So if there's one thing you can definitely say is Vlad is passionate, and we love to have you here, Vlad. And I hope you can make some more races here pretty soon, because we want to see you out on the grid. All right, so we're down to our final minute here. We still got Worley in first place. Neil Kerbal has worked his way up to second place, a 10th behind Worley. We got Darren Wicks, we got Henderson, we got Chronotis, and in sixth place we have our AM leader of the day, Tyler Morgan. Giania we have in seventh place. So I'm going to keep stumbling over that after I found out it's not pronounced Giania. Cook, Zaborg, Hermanis, Donovan, Braun, Zawatsky. We got Sam Bozak down in 14th, Tarugo, Fossman, Leung, and Mawat. We have some drivers here who are starting to return to the pits as they have invalidated. They said this is as good as it can get. Well, I guess that's just Neil so far who's been in. Everyone else is still out and on a valid lap. Anyone we want to keep our eye on here, Morgan?
Yeah, having a quick look. Worley doesn't look like he's improving. Not many drivers on bettering laps. Gania is how you say the last name. Is on a quicker lap, so he could improve, although he seems to be losing a little bit here towards the end of the lap. Drivers I also see improving: Don Donovan, Spencer Braun, and actually Sam Bozak is up half a second on his lap as well. So we'll see as these drivers come to the line. As we watch Gania, flipped over to Donovan. Let's go back to who's still across the line here. Evans Brog is coming up to the start-finish line next to Cross. He's improving himself. Spencer Braun himself is up a couple tenths on this lap. We'll see if this bumps him up. He's currently in 12th place.
Yeah. And Zabrog finishes, and he's the current pole holder for the Pro-Am category with a great lap that he's put up.
Oh, and Nathan Henderson jumps to P2 right at the checkered flag.
All right. We got a race here. 10 drivers, all within a second of each other. This is going to be great. And I think, Morgan, this is a great time to hop into, let's get to know another G-Gen that's on our track.
You got it. We'll send it on over.
Let's take a moment to step inside the helmet. It's time, once again, for Know Your D-Gen. Tonight's featured driver from the Pro class. Quick on the straights, precise in the corners, and always chasing the win. Darren Wicks. Darren comes to us from Canada, more specifically Vancouver Island, home to rain, rugged coastlines, and some seriously passionate racers. His favorite track? Kailami. Technical, fast, and just a little unforgiving, just like Darren on the track. Darren calls himself an old man, young at heart, but really, he's just a kid who never stopped loving cars. Gran Turismo hit PlayStation 1, and his love for driving went into overdrive. Fast forward 25 years, he's got a purpose-built rig, triple monitors, a Sim-Magic wheel and pedals, and a wife who's thrilled about the new hobby. When he's not on track, Darren's doing what apparently everyone on Vancouver Island does: mountain biking, sometimes with his dog, sometimes solo, but always with suspiciously competitive pace. And of course, we can't forget about that VM Golf R32 he's always tinkering with. And that's this edition of Know Your D-Gen. If tonight's featured driver wins their class, we're dropping 5 Twitch subs to our followers. So hit that follow button and get ready, because Darren's chasing trophies.
All right, that was our next Know Your D-Gen. I actually couldn't hear it, Dan, because I had technical issues on my side, but I hope it was playing on the stream. I look forward to watching it back once I get a chance to review the stream tomorrow, probably.
Yeah, I did listen to it on stream just to make sure audio is sounding okay, and it was there. So we got about 2.5 minutes here until the start of the race. as a reminder, we do a full outlap here at DRL. So all the drivers are going to get to warm their tires up and get themselves ready to race as they work their way around the track. But why don't we take this opportunity to do a quick grid walk? Starting off, we got... Oh, go ahead.
I would say go ahead and send it, Dan. I'll move you through the grid.
All right, here we go. We got Worley in pole position for pros. Second place, we're followed by Henderson. Then we move to the great and powerful Neil Kerbel, followed by our pro driver of the Know Your DGen, Darren Wicks. Just as a reminder, if he wins for the pro category today, we will be donating 5 subs to the channel. Then we have Zabrog, who is the pole position holder for the Pro-Am categories, followed by Gania in second place for the Pro-Am categories, who is right behind Zabrog, and should be a great battle between them today. Then we go to our new driver on the grid, Chronotis, followed by our pole position holder for the AM category, Tyler Morgan. Next to him is my old partner, Gav Cook, rocking out car 69. Followed by Arturas Hermanis, who is returning for his first race of this season. Followed by that is Don Donovan. Followed by that is Spencer Braun. Then we have Damian Zawatsky, who is hoping he can make up some places on Tyler to hold his title or his first place run of the season so far. Then we have the Sandbag Syndicate Sandbagger himself, Sam Bozak, followed by Mr. Tarugo, followed by Don Fossman. Then we have Alan Leung. And we have Malott, who is holding down the back of the grid. And let's just take a second to look at Malott's livery here. Malott is one of our fantastic livery creators here at DRL. He makes some awesome liveries, and he does do commission work. So if you're ever interested in a livery, Malott is someone you should definitely reach out to, and this is an awesome livery that he's put together for this season. Really cool little Cheech and Chong livery that he's got rocking there. Big fan.
Yeah, I absolutely love the liveries that we get on our grid there, Dan. I just want to make a really kind of important note that Don Fossman actually has a livery this season. I'm pretty sure Don ran all of Season 6 without syncing a livery, so we just saw a stupid black McLaren all of Season 6. So good job, Don. You figured out how to sync a livery.
This is true, and in race 1, he had not had it synced yet, so he has figured that out. I guess a little time in the sun in Coda helps clear his head. And we are off for our outlap here, as we have a little bit of chaos here. Got to be thankful for ghosting in those situations. But we have our drivers working out. It does get a little tricky here because you're going to move in single file as you work your way. For the most part of the outlap, when you have a third of the lap left, then you will move side by side. So we have our drivers coming up, and Morgan, what's something that you're looking forward to this race? Something you're going to maybe keep your eye on as we work our way through this 45-minute battle in Imola?
Yeah, well, I think we got some new names we're seeing kind of topping the leaderboards currently. Worley, again, new to our grid as of last race, and took pole position amongst all drivers and our pro drivers. So see if he can hold that Bentley in P1. I'm also keeping an eye on Evans Brog, who showed up into the practice session and wasn't looking that quick and has seemed to put it into pole for Pro-Am as well. So curious to see if these drivers who have managed to put in pole in their positions can hang on to them as the 45-minute race unfolds.
Yeah, and rumor has it that Standalone has been quietly pumping him up in Discord, filling him with sweet words to help him get that pole position. So yeah, Standalone, you're a true hero.
Standalone's Evan's biggest fan, first and foremost. It's his ride or die. So without Evan, Standalone is nothing.
All right, so one thing we're seeing from this race that we didn't see in the first race is all the drivers have successfully made their way off the grid. If you can remember, in race 1, we had Fossman and we had Spencer Braun, who did not get off the line and got teleported to the pits. Behind the scenes, we ended up learning that they were talking some strategy and missed the green to go. They had to start from the pits. And for Spencer Braun, he ended up becoming disqualified because he forgot to put his pit limiter on. So they have successfully made it out today and are getting ready to race. And as we can see on the stream here, we have the chaos again as we're moving side by side. You know, that means we're getting ready to start this race. Important here that you get as close to that limit as you can and you set yourself up for a great start. Worley wants to make sure that he can get a good run here to start this off. We're going to wait, and any second now, we're going to see the lights go green.
Thanks for the follow, Mystical Bomb. Great to have you on the stream with us.
It's really interesting here because it seems like Henderson almost started ahead of him there, but Worley is going to get takeoff and he's going to get a, and it looks like that's Wicks who's going to make up a lot of places there. No, it's Neil Kerbel who's going to get ahead there. And he's going to make up into second place as we go through turn 1, and a little bit of a bump there, it looks like, with Chronotis, who got bumped off a little bit, but all in all, the drivers stay very clean through that first chicane as they're going to work their way down. To our next chicane where we could have a little bit of chaos, and no, we stay clean. A great start for our drivers, really showing off their skills there. As we still have Worley in the lead, Kerbel has made up a spot. Wicks has made up a spot as he is battling it tight with Henderson, who's lost 3 spots, not the start that Henderson wanted. It looked like he was almost getting ahead of Worley to start this race, and he had to slow down a little bit right before the lights went. Everyone was able to capitalize for him.
Yeah, pretty tidy, Dan. Drivers all got away that first part very clean. Looking at our incident tracker here, nothing. We have like one small incident from car number 47, who is Worley, but that might have just been a tap at the start. So I don't think that was anything of significance because he's still leading the race and already starting to pull away from Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost a half second already, which is crazy. But what's even more crazy is that Kerbel is a second and a half ahead of Wicks, who did lose a little bit of time battling with Henderson, who's still right behind him there. But, I mean, that's a huge gap that's been formed in just a couple laps as we're going to see 44 work his way through. We're following Tyler Morgan here. It seems like he is not interested in battling, as we kind of talked about earlier in the races. He knows that his battle's with the pros, and he's not going to too much a fight with those pro-ams and risk any type of contact or issues happening. All in all, up and down the grid, we see it's still pretty tight. A few little gaps there. Let's see, we have a few little gaps between Gania here and Chronotis. And other than that, I mean, it's pretty tight. You got Henderson, who's got ahead of Wicks, who they're over 2 seconds behind Kerbel, who Kerbel's a second and a half behind Worley. So, I mean, Worley must have been taken from the old sandbag playbook and taken it a bit easy to start this practice session, because he's definitely found some time. As we take a look at Leung, he's got Sam Bozak right behind him, and Malott is right behind him as well. And we have battles up and down the grid here as we expected. Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, it looks like Sam maybe had an off-track excursion, dropping all the way down to 17th. I don't see anything picked up here that we can show on a replay, unfortunately. But I did see a bunch of dust flying, I think, through the first chicane. So either missed a braking point, force wide. I'm not totally sure. Something we might have to check in the replays later on.
Well, definitely something to keep an eye on here. So far, some of our closest battles is still Henderson and Wicks. Wicks is 4/10 behind Henderson as he's going to look to definitely close that gap. Zabrog is not too far behind them either, and Gav is right behind Evan. I mean, 2/10, that might be our closest one. We got Tyler, who's fallen down timetables, as is somewhat expected. He has Zawadzki 7/10 behind him, so Zawadzki's going to look to make up that time on Tyler Morgan. And something to watch for with Tyler Morgan is, what is he going to pit stop? Historically, Tyler has always taken his pit stops very early. Race 1, he decided to go late. Not sure if he was happy with that decision or not, so we'll see. Pit stops are definitely coming to play, especially with these close times. We got Tarugo also right behind Zawadzki, only half a second. And we got Leung 8/10 behind Sam. So a lot of close battles up and down the grid here. We're currently following Wicks, who is really putting the pressure on Henderson here, so you can get a better run up the hill. I'm not sure this is going to be the best opportunity for Wicks to make the move, but we'll see what he decides to do. And for you, Morgan, out here, is there a certain section of the track where you really like to line them up for the move, or favorite passing zone?
I think, yeah, it's, again, we say this every race, it's tough to overtake in GT3 at any track. Imola can be tough. I would say probably the best opportunities are kind of what we're seeing here now, this corner after the last chicane sometimes, or you go through the high speed first and then you can dive in. The other spot that, you know, I've had success taking people is, yeah, out of that first hairpin and running up the hill like we were watching there. Sometimes if you can get a better drive than somebody who loses traction, so either drivers go too wide, they get either a curb or a bit of grass, you can get better traction and get them up the hill. But yeah, I mean, it's just in general, it's tough. You really have to, especially racing cars of your own class, you just have to wait for people to make mistakes because it's so hard to get around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if something is up with these timetables here that I'm looking at, but it looks like Darren has fallen 2.5 seconds behind Henderson.
Yeah, I think Darren Wicks is getting a bit of pressure here. We'll just put it on him now. Darren Wicks getting some pressure from Evans Brog, so I think he's maybe looking in his rear view mirror a little bit. But yeah, he has dropped back from Henderson.
Yeah, and going into those final corners, he was right behind Henderson, and it looked like before we cut over to Hermani's that he might have taken a little bit too much of the curbs and maybe lost some time there. But yeah, Darren Wicks is going to fall down. But we're going to see Worley. I mean, he is really running away with this. 3 seconds ahead of Neil is quite fast. And Kerbal is 2 seconds ahead of Henderson, who's 3 seconds ahead of Wicks. So, I mean, just from Darren Wicks in 4th place, you're talking about 8 seconds already through 3 laps. So quite an incredible pace that we're seeing from Worley. And I think when you're seeing this level of pace, you have to ask yourself, is he going to torch his tires too much? And is he going to be able to hold on to the car? And as you know, you don't need to take tires at the pit stop. You can just do fuel. So what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I mean, the strategy for most people since, we introduced, mandatory pit stops where you only had to take fuel is drivers haven't been taking tires. Tires seem to hang on okay. A track like Imola isn't too bad on them. You do get a bit more stress than some other tracks just from the number of high-speed corners, especially the chicanes. But I think in most part, drivers will have no problem here, and it's not worth the amount of time the game penalizes you for taking tires that you'll lose in your lap time. But yeah, that can be the difference between, especially when classes are so close. If a driver's pushing too hard, they can wear them more or overheat them, and that can give you an opportunity to get an overtake for a driver who starts to struggle on tires, for sure.
That is a great point you make. I do believe it's about 30 seconds, correct me if I'm wrong, of time that you lose changing your tires, and that is a lot of time to have to on track given the race window. You got, even now, 37 minutes, you'd have to be making up a second a lap, and I'm just not sure that that's possible. So you're right, very rarely does it ever make sense to change those tires, but will he end up hurting himself in the long run? Just hang around and we'll find out together here.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead, Morgan.
Oh, no, that's it. I was agreeing.
All right. So it looked like we had someone off track there. Not sure exactly who it was, but had someone go up there for the yellow flags. But what I was going to say right before that, one rule that we do have with the pit stops is we're going to see who was that 555 make his way through, and he's going to go wide.
It's Evan Zabrog who dropped all the way down the leaderboard, so I don't know if he had a spin. Evan's driving car number 25. We do have a replay we can check to see what happened here.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. That's
just
tough.
Got too much curb and lost the rear.
Yeah, got a little bit of air in the process as well. So he did find himself down and battled with Leong there for a second, but Leong ended up going a bit wide, and Zabrog has some work to do to get back up there. So Standalone's either real happy or real sad right now. I don't know if he's cursing him or he's trying to bless him here, but we'll see if he can make a big recovery as Gania looks to put up his third win right now. He's got about 1 second to Donovan, who has worked his way past Hermanis. Hermanis is 2.5 seconds behind him, so he must have had something happen as well. So we are seeing Zawatsky and Tyler Morgan have both taken their pits, and Zawatsky is ahead of Tyler by about 13 seconds it showed before the timetables just clipped away. No, Tyler is ahead of him. We flipped our way back. But both of them have gone for the early pit window again, so let's see how that plays out. Morgan, did you have a preference between early, late, somewhere in the middle of the race? How did you like to handle your stops?
I usually waited till the last possible moment. Yeah, I mean, you get as close as you can to the end of that pit window and drop in a tiny amount of fuel, as little as you can get away with, because the amount of fuel you add into the car does affect the stop time. So you know, if you got your fuel calculations right, you kind of wanted to plan it so that you would, you know, be close to running out of fuel, you know, towards the end of that pit window. So you're basically just doing a bit of a splash and dash. And just a reminder for the viewers watching, we introduced a pit window last season. Actually, because of what happened at this track, where you could finish the race from the pit lane and jump a spot. Our friend Neil Kerbel did that because he pitted on the final lap, and because where his pit box was, he was able to make his pit stop and then crawl a couple feet to cross the finish line. So it allowed him a quicker route to victory. So we added our pit window, so drivers are required to make a stop there, you know, with before at least I think it's around 7 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, and we're seeing Spencer Braun right there with Hermanis as he kind of almost looked to stick a nose in through that chicane. Can be a risky spot there, but he's going to have a good opportunity here if he has a good run, which it looks like he is, where he may be able to throw it in the inside. Or another thing to do is kind of deke him a little bit and hit a switchback as you kind of come through these, but he's going to kind of leave space. It looks like he's going to set himself up long run down into that first chicane and look to make a move here for Braun. So we still got Worley. He's kind of hovering about 3.5 seconds above Kerbel. Henderson's about 2.5 seconds from then, and the three of them are really running away. Wicks is 5, almost 6 seconds behind Henderson. And then we have Gav Cook and we have Chronotis, who Chronotis is not too far behind Gav right now, so something may be coming from them.
All right, Dan, we gotta crank it up, redeemed by Standalone Unit. As we're gonna hop on board with Evan for his request for a full lap of no commentary, just pure McLaren purring. there you have it, a full onboard with Evansbrog. Thanks for the redemption, standalone. Back to racing action, Dan. What do we got?
Yeah, and I also quickly want to take a moment to give a shout out to Vlice. Thank you for the follow, Vlice. Really appreciate you having us here. We got 4 more followers that we need to hit a goal. So help us out if you know anyone who might pull them in. Tell them to follow us. We could use that follow as we look at Hermione, who is still battling it out with Spencer Braun. And I saw you put it in chat, but it is so funny that as soon as we went onto the onboard, we saw Fossman flying into the sand, doing what Don does best, a little off-roading, a little too much time in SnowRunner.
Yeah, a little dip, dive, dodge, and duck from Don as he was trying to avoid a sausage curb, I think, or maybe he didn't avoid it, and that's what sent him flying into the kitty litter.
So I see on here we got a stop and go 30-second penalty for Tarugo. I'm not sure if that's coming from some pretty fast speeding in the pit lane, which I see he's in the pit. Well, he's probably serving it in the pit lane, or if we've already had 3 track limit violations. It really is easy here to get track limit violations with how much how much of the track you really try to utilize.
Yeah, well, I think for Tarugo, that's going to be a speeding in the pit violation. Track limits, I believe, earns a driver a drive-through penalty, and seeing that he has now completed his mandatory stop, I'm going to take a safe bet on that. That's where he earned that penalty. I'm not sure if he was speeding in or speeding out. But yeah, it's likely in. I know Imola's caught out a lot of people in our past races in DRL. I'll never forget the time that Jacob Stofko was leading the race by a mile. I'll never forget this because I'll tell you why in a sec. Flew into the pits faster than you can absolutely imagine and got like an immediate disqualification. He went so fast, it just teleported him right back to the box and said, "Your race is over." It was a wet race, and that handed me my first ever victory in DRL ACC.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, you hate to see it happen, but it is quite funny as we're looking at a great battle here between Don Donovan and Gav Cook. Don Donovan is our DGen of the day for the Pro-Am category, and he is currently the Pro-Am category. Although Gania has taken his pit, he's the only one who has taken his pit stop so far. So we'll see how that ends up playing through. But Don is absolutely battling with Gav here, and we'll see if he can kind of make that overtake stick. Will Gav give up the pressure and pit? No, but I thought Don was going to pull into the pit lanes there and take his pit. So they're going to keep battling it out. Let's see if Don makes a move here into turn 1. I'm not sure he's going to be close enough here to do it, but don't put that past one of these DGens to try anyways.
Oh, I absolutely love this camera angle off the back of the car. Don's getting so close to the back of Gavin Cook. That's got to be making Gavin sweat real hard. And like you said there, Dan, I'm surprised he didn't jump into the pits, because that's one thing that you can definitely do in this game is if you've got the pace on another driver, as we watch Gavin, looks like he's struggling with the rear tires, you can undercut them in the pits, and sometimes that is the way to go. Especially if you know you've got pace in hand, which it looks like Don's going to get real close to trying maybe up the hill here.
Yeah, let's take a look and see if he can make a move, as he's going to stick through. The other thing I feel like is Don's just losing time here, and he knows he's going to have to make a pit, and Gania has already pulled into the pit lanes and taken that pit stop, so why keep letting him catch up as Gav's going to spin and Don's going to clip him.
Oh, no.
Don did a great job of slowing down as much as he could, but it looks like Chronotis got through them. And yeah, it's Aqua Minerale is a tough place. Gav's going to have a real hard time getting this back on track, and he's got to make sure that he doesn't get in any other driver's way, because that is a severe penalty. You hate to see it happen to Gav. Hopefully Don does not pick up too much damage there, but that is one way to get past a driver.
Yeah, really unfortunate, and obviously commentators curse on Gavin as we were sitting there talking about their battle, as we watch him lose traction, as I had been talking about a moment earlier. It just looked like he was struggling with the rears a little bit. Gav's new to the Porsche this season, and I can tell you, having as someone who's driven the Porsche in a few seasons in our league, it is definitely one of the more difficult cars to drive, especially as tires wear. The rear does really like to step out on the car. So yeah, very unfortunate to see Gav take that spin, and hopefully didn't cost Donovan too much time, although nothing he could have done. It happened right in front of him, with probably there were only a 2/10 gap between them.
Yeah, quite frankly, I think he avoided it really as good as he could. I mean, a lot of drivers were smashing through that. That's a really hard, how much speed you start the turn with and how much you have to slow it down, and just the lack of traction that you have going through that turn, that he was able to slow the car down enough just to give a light tap. He did lose the position to Chronotis. I don't think that's going to be the end of the world to him. He's got an almost 4-second gap, so he still has the time to put up as much to use all the pace that he has available to him. We are following along with Worley, who has taken his pits. He's the first pro driver to come through the pits. Let's see how this will play out, because this is going to be Kerbal need to try to make up some time. I don't know if Kerbal has more time than he's storing around, but this will be a great time to kind of see how does that taking your pit stop in the middle work compared to taking it. I'm assuming Neil's going to take it close to the end. Right now, there are not too many close battles on track. We're kind of at that point during the race where everyone's kind of settling into their race and just trying to make up their time. We got the pit windows opening up and everything. So I think it's a great time, Morgan, to go into our next and final Know Your DGen segment for the day.
You got it. Let's kick it over to our third Know Your DGen.
It's time, once again, for Know Your DGen. Tonight's featured driver from the AM class comes with speed in his veins and championship ambitions in his sights. A man who, like Batman, needs no last name. The one, the only, Tarugo. Tarugo hails from the beautiful and mountainous country of Colombia, the land of coffee, emeralds, and let's just say some exports we can't legally talk about on Twitch. These days, Tarugo's only addiction is speed. The legal kind, of course. And yeah, he doesn't just race cars. If it's got an engine and goes fast, Tarugo's on it. When it comes to his favorite car, he's all about the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Fast enough to gap you, flashy enough to make sure you remember who did it. On track, Tarugo prefers to chase, because nothing's more satisfying than hunting your prey. And finally, the question everyone's been dying to know. Socks, shoes, or barefoot? Tarugo's a racing shoe guy, which makes sense, because when you're that fast, you need footwear that can keep up. And that's this edition of Know Your DGen. Remember, if tonight's featured driver wins their class, we're dropping 5 Twitch subs to our followers. So hit that follow button and maybe buy yourself some racing shoes. Apparently, they work.
That is our last Know Your DGen of the night. Dan, I had my audio working this time, and I'm glad we were muted during that segment because I laughed hard. Good job.
Yeah, Tarugo, all love. I appreciate videos that you sent in. And yeah, Tarugo's a great guy. He's raced with us since our F1 days. Great to have him out on the track. I know he's been bringing some other people over, so... unfortunately, he had his stop-and-go penalty, which really killed his race. But we're still rooting for you, Tarugo, and got a lot of season left here. So if we take a look at our 3 DGens, just to kind of see how they might be placing, we have Wix, who's in 3rd place. He's 12 seconds behind Henderson. So Henderson and Kerbal really just have a different level of pace here compared to everyone else. We got Donovan, who is currently leading the Pro-Am drivers, although with Gania having already pit, I don't know, Gania's kind of far down there still. And if you take a look at some of those times, that's going to be pretty close for Don. He may have enough time, not sure the exact amount of time to get through the pit lane here. I don't think it's a super long pit lane here, and with the, I don't know, 30, I mean, Gania, he's fallen behind Malott now. You got 20. I mean, he might have 40, 50 seconds. So, I mean, if I was Donovan, I might and hold that position. And then, of course, we have Tarugo, who is 2 laps down, unfortunately, because he had to pit, and then he had to turn around and go pit again and sit in there for 30 seconds. So, definitely Donovan and Gania here are 2 to keep an eye on, because this is going to end up finishing really close between them, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight, Dan. I think transit time most drivers have been doing for those who have stopped so far is around 42 seconds, give or take. That includes the stop. So my little statistics tool here says, yeah, about 42 seconds to go from pit entry to pit exit, including your stop time. So it's hard to add up all those gaps between the two, but I feel like you're right. I think it is close.
I think it's all going to come down to is how much pace does Don have to still keep pushing through. I mean, he was what, almost 4 seconds from Chronotis after that little incident. We went through our Know Your DGen. He's at 3.3, so Chronotis isn't holding him up. He's able to kind of push with whatever pace that he has. But yeah, that'll definitely be something to watch. Kind of taking a look and seeing with Worley and how that's going to play with Kerbal. When does Kerbal come into the pits? Kerbal was, I want to say, 2 to 3 seconds behind Worley before he pulled into the pits. So definitely be interesting to see kind of how that plays out. But just a quick look at the timetables. It doesn't look like Neil's got the time right now to stay ahead of him. And Henderson seems to be kind of staying about 2.7 seconds behind him. Another driver which we have on right now, Tyler Morgan, who was our net leader of the AMs, and he still basically is, with Fossman and Leung not having taken pits yet. All the other AMs who have taken pits will fall behind, and Tyler being about 30 seconds behind Fossman should have still about a 10 to 15 second gap ahead of him. But it will be interesting to see where Fossman comes out in relation to Zawadzki if he was to come in. Fossman may find himself working his way up the ranks into a P2 by the time he gets out of the pits. Drivers have about 13 more minutes to get into pit stop, so we should see some of these drivers. We got, roughly half the grid that has already pit, so it'll be interesting to see as they all work their way through how we end up net standing here.
Yeah, just taking a look at some of the times that drivers are putting down. Worley's still in a bit of a class of his own, consistently in the really high 141s. Neil kind of bouncing between the low 142s. So Worley, even though completing his stop a little earlier than Neil and some of the other pro drivers out in the lead, pace doesn't seem to be an issue. Taking a look at where he is on track as well, he doesn't seem to be catching any like back markers, or if he is, he's getting around them fairly quickly as we see it actually jump on board with him now as he's getting close to Evan Sabrog. I believe that is ahead of him.
Yep, that's right. That is who's ahead of him, and they are holding position, so I don't think Zabrog is just going to get out of the way. He may choose to just to not feel that pressure, but he will not be required to because he's not being lapped. And it's really interesting is it the mystery track for Worley where he's able to kind of come in and that's giving him this edge? Is he just really comfortable with Imola? Taking a look at the COTA standings, he finished in 6th place that race within the pro category. So really interesting to see how his season unfolds, and is this truly his pace and COTA wasn't his track, or is this his track? So definitely going to be a challenge for the likes of Kerbal and Wicks, who have held those 1-2 race over race.
Yeah, for sure. As the camera jumps over to Tyler Morgan and Gav Cook looking to battle a little bit here. I'm not sure if Tyler is just trying to get out of the way. Maybe looks like it. Or if he's going to fight this position. No, Tyler doesn't look like he's giving up. He's going to run this, hang on to the outside, and make Gav get around him the hard way. As they run up the hill here, looks like Gav's going to get a better run, and he'll have the inside line going into the fast left-hander at the top of the hill. Oh, as they make contact, and Tyler goes into the wall!
Tyler!
Oh,
They
no!
make contact. Oh, man, going down that little bend. I guess technically the first turn of this track, but that is devastating for Tyler's race, who had a commanding P1 lead. I'm not sure what he was thinking battling Cook there, but that is so costly for his race, and that just completely opened up the standings here for the AM category. Don Fossman, he could have something in his belt here. He could be looking at what I think would be his first DRL victory. We have Leung. That's going to be really close to where Zawadzki is. Zawadzki may have another win here. It is going to be really close to see how does Tyler end up handling this? How much damage has he picked up? It looked like a pretty heavy crash. And what is going to happen with Gavin Cook here too is tumbled down the charts. Oh man, I'm glad we caught that live. That was incredible.
Let's take a quick replay of that, Dan, and look at it from the chase cam, just to see if we can see get a better angle of what happened there. I have that here for us. Ooh, tough to say. I don't know if Tyler turned in a bit early. Looked like Gav was holding his line. Anyways, that'll be one for the stewards to decide, I think.
Absolutely. Those types of incidents are really hard to see if you're not looking at what is going on with the steering input. But either way, I am shocked that Tyler chose to fight that. I mean, we saw him let a lot of other cars through earlier in the race, and that is so costly for Tyler. And I know he's got to be kicking himself right now, and it'll be interesting to see. You know, when you're on the track, you're not always really aware of what's happening with the other drivers. So, is Don even aware at this possibility that's opened up for him? Is Zawadzki aware of it? Is he trying to push here and get that position? Tyler's still in front of him, so unless he has to pit for damage, there's no way Tyler's just going to let Zawadzki by, and they may end up holding each other up. So we got Leon coming into the pits here, as we are riding along with Tyler Morgan as he works his way through. He will be coming up here somewhat shortly to the pit lanes as he makes his way around the final corners of the track, and we will see if he needs to pit for damage. He does look... I'm not sure. These are slower turns, so I'm not sure to say if he's going in gingerly. He is not going to pit for damage, which with 12 minutes left in the race, you're pretty much just giving up if you come in and give up a minute to repair damage. You kind of just to fight your way through. But let's see where Leon comes out in relation to Tyler Morgan, because that will be saying something. As we are along with Neil Kerbel right now, who had Henderson right alongside of him. Henderson almost just lost his car there. He really closed that gap to 1/10, and he is lucky he did not spin out and lose it. A great save and recovery by Henderson. Right now, we are following along with Ani, who is right behind Gania. That is right. Yes. No.
That's Gav Cook chasing him down.
So it looks like the damage was all to Tyler, and Gav seems to have carried on just fine. Hermani's definitely has got to be feeling the pressure here. His first race back, and I don't think he's touched the wheel in 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, definitely he's probably feeling the pressure as he goes through the chicane there.
Yeah, Arter's not one to give up a battle. He's not going to give, again, different classes, but I just don't see Archer's giving up this position to Gav. He's going to make Gav earn it again. Archer's, yeah, like you said, has had a couple weeks break. I think he was away on some holiday. Hasn't touched his rig in a while, and said he was feeling rusty, but He's having a decent race so far. He's completed his stop. We'll see where he comes out when everyone else in his class completes his stop. I still think he's ahead of Bozak. I don't think Donovan, though. I'm curious to see once Donovan makes his stop.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. It's so hard to gauge where they're at. But it does look like Gania has closed the gap enough for Donovan now, where he will fall out behind Gania and he will have to make up probably 3 to 5 seconds if I'm guessing. Leung has come out. He's come out behind Tyler Morgan by about 7 seconds. So Tyler is holding that lead off everyone who's pit. So we'll see if that carries over to Dawn, which it looks like it'll carry over fine to Dawn, just briefly looking at the times there.
It's going to be close, I think. I feel like the gap, what is it, from Dawn down to Tyler, we got about, 20, 25. Yeah, I'd be curious to see once Tyler crossed the line here what his gap back to Evan is. And that'll give us a better idea of where Dawn might slot in there.
And I want to say he was like 20 seconds behind Evan, so 45 seconds, he's going to be right on that 25 seconds. So he's talking about 50 seconds, so we might have in net P1 here. We'll have to see.
Oh, no. And just as we were talking about that, Donovan just got to stop, go 30 for pitting in his pit stop. There goes his potential win in the Pro-Am category.
Yeah, that is gut-wrenching, and it looks like he ended up coming out ahead of... No, he didn't come out ahead of Gania.
No, right on him,
He's
though.
about half a second, and I guess that's where you get that stop-go, is really pushing your way through, so it worked out for Gania. I do feel like, and who really knows, but I do feel like if 10 minutes ago, he might have found himself ahead of him. Gania really had some opportunities to close the gaps, especially with some of the, well, no, I don't want to say slower drivers, but with Tyler and Gav having their incidents, a couple other drivers going off track. It kind of opened up the track for Gania where he didn't have to fight his way through maybe as much as he might have had to.
Yeah, it's one of the risks you end up taking if you do stop early and other drivers don't, right? Depending on where you come out on track and the length of the track, sometimes you come out right in the middle of the pack of other drivers, especially when you factor in how long it takes to stop, complete your fuel up, and get back on track. Yeah, you can end up having to fight through that traffic and slow yourself down. So that's why, for me anyway, strategy was always to go as long as you can, let everybody else get their pit stops in either before you or around the same time as you, and then you're not dealing with potentially slower traffic.
Absolutely, and we do have Kerbal and Henderson who have both taken their pits now. Worley has gone up into the net P1. Kerbal behind him by about 5.5 seconds, and Henderson behind him for 6 seconds. So not all too close at the top. Given those times, Darren Wicks should find himself probably coming in right behind Henderson. Maybe close with Chronotis if he can continue to close the gap. We got Gania, who is pretty much, as long as nothing happens to him for the next 7 minutes, he should have a third P1 in the bag for the Pro-Am category. Donovan, he's still fighting with him, and I mean, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I almost think, like, what's the point for Don? You hate to say it for a driver, but you got to make that stop and go 30 seconds. You're just falling so far behind. I know you want to make places you can, but you got Evan that's not that far behind you. You got Hermione's not that far behind you. So this is just, it's gut-wrenching for Don, our DGen of the day, who unfortunately just went a little too fast in the pits, and he suffered the consequences from that. But we do have Hermione Prague, who are still battling it out. Hermione's is 4/10 behind him, so he is looking to maybe try to make a move there, which, we're looking at podium battles here between these two. With 1.5 minutes left in the pit window, all our drivers have pit, so everyone is in their positions. We got Alan Leung doing a great job of getting out of the way for the overtaking cars. Oh, he's going to go off track there, blocked by the tree. Doesn't look like it really caused too much problems. And we got Neil Kerbel coming up behind him as well. Kerbel and Henderson are still pretty much 5.5 seconds. Everyone's kind of in their position outside of, let's see, I mean, even Hermani's has kind of fallen back a little bit. So we don't really have too many close battles going on to watch at this point. We got Don Fossman, who has taken his pit, and he, I'm looking at this now, paying a little
I was just
closer attention. It looks like Tyler has retired. I'm not sure. Did something happen to him?
I didn't see. I don't have any. No, I do have an accident recorded with car 55. So let's just do another real quick replay and see what happened. Caused him to go to the pits and call his race a night. The car 55 would be Alan Leung. So these two would have been battling for position at the time. So they run up to the final chicane. Tyler seems to let him by fine. Oh, makes contact, spins him out, drives off track, and maybe just calls it a night.
And I'm not sure if Tyler just didn't think he was going to make that move, or if he thought he was just kind of letting him. I don't know why Tyler would just let him through when they were racing for position. But that has opened it up for Don Fossman, who has a 4.5 second lead over Zawadzki with 4.5 minutes left to go in this race. So let's see if Don can handle that pressure. I gotta imagine at this point he is aware of it, and knowing Don, he is probably shaking in his boots a little bit with excitement.
Yeah, Fossman, I'm sure, is probably trying to talk himself into getting locked in for the remainder of this race. We got 4 minutes to go. He's got a pretty comfortable gap to Zawadzki, like you said. He's got nobody in front of him, so he doesn't really have any distractions. I think he does have maybe some blue flag coming that he's gonna have to let some drivers by. I think that was that Kerbel kind of catching Fossman. I didn't quite see there, but yeah, Don gonna hopefully lock it in and keep going for the rest of the race. Actually, taking a look here, it looks like that car that we were talking about is Tyler Morgan, so he's back on track. I wonder what caused him to go for another pit stop. If he had maybe that damage was just too much and he couldn't drive, or made the stop. I'm really unsure. We'll have to chat with him post race.
I've had a few races where just things haven't gone my way, had a few incidents, and I knew I made mistakes. Those were my incidents. Now, one of the rules with stewarding in DRL is if you DNF a race, any time penalties would be converted into points. And this may be a look by Tyler saying there's 3 minutes left. I could be at fault for 1 or potentially 2 incidents here. And I don't want to build up points for my license and risk qualifying bans, race bans, starting from the pit lanes. So this may be a bit of a tactical move by Tyler here, which I can't say I would blame him for, because I've done it myself.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Dan, and I think the other thing that he might be running through his mind is if you choose to, if he disconnected and DNF this race, he also would lose out on the potential points. So in our league, even finishing last place is going to give you points. So in a long championship still to go, all those points matter. He missed last week, so he's burned up a drop round on a DNS. So from here on out for Tyler, every point counts. So yeah, I think he stopped for damage and just got it fixed just so he could finish the race comfortably and not be fighting a car the rest of the way, or he stopped and thought maybe I'm done, and then had a second thought.
Yeah, that's a great point about the points, because they do all make a difference, and it is such a tight battle, and it's still so early in the season. And if Don can pull off this win here and hold off for another minute and a half, that'd be big for Tyler, because Zawadzki's not getting those first. So it all makes a difference, and it's always surprising at how close some battles can come at the end of the season. We got Zawadzki has closed it from 4.5 to about 3 seconds over the last 2 or 3 minutes. I don't think there's enough time there. We have some blue flags here. I really think the only way that loses this race is if the pressure becomes too much for him, which, let's be honest, is definitely a possibility, and that's no shade to Fossman. But anytime you have the lead, you start to overthink things. As you said earlier, he's talking himself up, he's hyping himself up, and that's when you tend to, or at least for myself, tend to make the mistakes. When you just kind of get in that flow state and you're going and you're not thinking about things, that's how you drive great. When you start getting tighter and you start overthinking everything, as we have Henderson here moving on the inside, although it looks like they're letting him through for a blue flag. But when you tighten up and start overthinking things and almost paying too much attention, at least for me, that's when things tend to go wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've put myself on pole in this league a couple times, and I think every time that I have, I've usually lost that lead pretty quick, just from the pressure I put myself on from being in the lead of the race or the lead of your category. It's a total mental game. You know, as they say, racing is 90% mental, 10% skill. So, yeah, I get what you mean when you're put into those situations where you're like, oh, I could win this thing. It's really hard to not start making mistakes.
Absolutely, and it's been telling with the Know Your DGen segments so far. Everyone has said they prefer to chase rather than to lead, as we have Worley, who officially finishes this race in first place. Congratulations to Worley. A big win tonight, commanding lead, a commanding race, domination tonight. Absolutely great by Worley. We got Kerbal, who's in second, and Henderson, who's third, who round out our overall podium and our podium. We got Darren Wicks, who looks to be holding up fourth place without issue. We also have a few in the back that have finished. So Watsky has finished the race, so that means Don Fossman will be our winner in the amateur class, assuming he's able to get, well, he doesn't even need to get the car. Bozak finished. Don Donovan ended up finishing, and he's out of here. Alan Leung has finished as well. It looks like we did have Tyler Morgan, who left, so he might have finished this race and left. But we have Malott and we have Tarugo, who are still battling it out here. See if Tarugo can close 4/10. I'm not sure where they are. Tarugo did get ahead of Malott. I'm not sure exactly if he ended up just making a clean pass there. But everyone else has kind of finished where expected. It's hard with drivers bouncing out, so I think in the end you can kind of pull up the final standings and we can look at those. But let's ride along with Don Fossman here, as he's going to get his first victory in DRL. So a huge congratulations to Don Fossman. I hope he hops in the green room with us and we can chat, because we are going to make sure he knows that a Shoey video is expected. Now, do you know, Morgan, is... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as we're watching Don here on his last lap, it's a good thing nobody can pass him and take that spot away as he runs wide through the final corner and just about in Don fashion throw it away. But no, great race. Congratulations, Don, on your victory. Same with Gania in your category, and Worley for our pro winners. I can quickly run through the standings if you want here, Dan, because I've got them all still in my tool. So in first place, we have Joshua Worley. Neil Kerbal takes P2. Nathan Henderson, P3. Darren Wicks, P4. Professor Chronotis in P5, Gania Pro-Am winner in 6, Spencer Braun taking up P7 in car number 7, Gavin Cook finishes P8, nice recovery drive, Evans Brogg in P9, Archer Hermanis P10, Don Fossman P11 and your AM winner, Damien Zawatsky P12, Sam Bozak P13, Donovan P14 after that unfortunate stop-go 30, Alan Leung, 15th place, Tarugo, 16th, John Malott, P17, and rounding out the grid in last place is Tyler Morgan with that unfortunate need for a second pit stop.
Yeah, what a race today. Absolutely incredible. Action-packed throughout, and just really enjoyable and interesting to see some of the domination we had, and an exciting battle for the AM class. And Morgan, do you know, is this Fossman's first ever win in DRL of any?
I don't believe so. I think he does have some class wins, so I don't think it is a first for him, but definitely a first this season. Only his second race because he missed last week, but I'm sure he's a real happy boy right now. Dan, why don't we kick it over just to a super quick intermission? I'll get the highlights replay running. We can wait to see if there's anybody in the green room, and then we'll come back and do any interviews.
Absolutely, sounds great.
All right, we're back, Dan. We got our race highlights kicking off here. And do we have anybody waiting for an interview?
We do have the great Don Fossman, champion today, who is in the green room. You want to pull him in now, or do you want to run through some of these highlights here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get him in here before he dips out so we can have a chat with him.
Don, welcome to the stream. Congratulations on a huge win today. How are you feeling after that absolute incredible race that you put up today?
Thank you, gentlemen. Super good. Yeah, that was nice. Starting near the back and working my way through. I think some people definitely put themselves back in places, but I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely some drivers out there, Tyler, became victims of their own mistakes as we saw throughout the race. And
yeah,
Don,
what happened? I saw he pit early. Was that a strategy, or did he get some damage?
No, he pit early intentionally. That's something that Tyler did last season. He would pit almost immediately, and he liked just to do it and get it out of the way as quickly as he could. He actually had an incident with Gavin where they made main straight, which sort of cost him there. And then going into the back chicane Alta, he ended up making contact with Leung. So he had contact twice late at the end of the race, which kind of ended up derailing what truthfully was quite a commanding and dominating race for Tyler. So I know he's kicking himself.
Yeah, he
tonight.
qualified really well too. Like the first few laps, even when the pro-ams and pros were going out, he was still holding like 4th and 5th after their first couple laps. So I thought he was gonna keep it going.
Yeah, so Don, what is your mindset behind these mystery tracks? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you find it's hard to get into the rhythm on the tracks?
I like it. It's fantastic. I don't make too much time to race and practice during the week, so when these mystery tracks come up and everyone's kind of on the same playing field, it's nice. And I've played ACC like just long enough now that I'm familiar with most of the tracks, so just getting that like hour of practice beforehand ends up being just good enough to still have some fun and have a good race.
Yeah, that's definitely the same kind of mindset that I came into it with myself. Now, at what point during the race did you realize, like, oh, I could win this thing?
Not until the last few laps, actually. I was chatting away with Gavin and Spencer in their room, and then all of a sudden caught the leaderboard and was like, oh, wait a minute, I better get this going. And then I'm gonna say his name wrong, and I have it in front of me. What is it? Was it Zawadzki on the last few laps there?
Yep.
I saw him coming up behind me, and that's kind of when I realized that I had to stay in front of him. And then, of course, I think you mentioned he caught me on the stream, like totally going into the grass in the final corner, and I thought I was going to lose that spot right then, but I just pulled it off and stayed on track. I think I actually kept some of my tires on the curb, so...
Yeah, and we kind of laughed about it a little bit ourselves because he had actually finished the race already, so he couldn't have overtaken you in that corner. But he stuck behind you to keep that pressure on you. And yeah, we got that, and you know, I don't know how it is for you, but if I
didn't realize that he'd already.
yeah, it was close, and I think you had him by about 3 seconds. So
Okay.
that's
hilarious. Well, that's funny. It gave me an awesome feeling in the last straightaway when I got it. Then anyway, so it's good that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a great feeling when you can hold on to that victory. Now, when you realize you have the lead, do you feel like you put more pressure on yourself and you start to make more mistakes, or are you able to just kind of roll with the punches and ice in the vein?
I think I'm pretty good. Like I used to get a little bit more nerves on it, but I've just been around long enough now that I typically don't. I'll put myself off the track whether the pressure is on or not. So I'm not going off the track anymore when the pressure's there. So.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. If I was in that position and the times are slowly closing on me like a second here and there, that's when I start to make the silly mistakes.
I guess if anything, I'll pay attention more and even be a bit more conservative, like not try to push it too much, because all it takes is one little misstep, and then you lose like a second, and whoever it is gone. So.
Well, I do have to say,
Yeah,
in true Don fashion, we did capture you flying off track on stream as we tuned into an onboard with Evans Brog. So, thank you for always keeping us entertained flying off track.
I got you covered. I probably went off the track like 3 or 4 times. So, just
yeah. We even saw it happen on your very last lap, right in the last couple corners. It's a good thing nobody could pass you to take that position away.
Yep. We were just talking about that.
So, Don, before we let you go, I got to take a minute to publicly apologize to you. I, at one point during the stream, just had a little break, and I completely forgot that you are a past AM champion, and I was thinking this was your first ever. I was thinking this was your first ever DRL victory. So, I do just want to take a second to apologize.
You know what? To be fair, I'm not sure if I've ever had like a race win. I don't remember that. It may have only been.
So this could be your first race win.
Possibly. We'll have to go look in the records and see.
I'm pretty sure you've had class win, even had an overall race win that I'm aware of, but you definitely, I'm pretty sure, had a class win. I think, anyways.
Well, I'll shoot for the overall race win next week then.
There you go. Next week, yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, Don, congratulations. A huge victory for you tonight. A battle well fought. You can sleep well tonight knowing that you are, again, a winner in DRL. And we look forward to seeing you continue to race this season.
Thanks. Yeah, feels good.
All right. Well, great interview by Don Fossman, a great driver, a long-time racer in DRL, one of the original drivers in this league. Great to still have him around and see him still putting up wins. Morgan, it was a great night tonight. Was there anything that particularly stuck out to you as a exciting moment or a memorable moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a great race in general. I mean, a lot happened. We saw a couple stop-go 30s, which you sometimes see in races, but to see a couple happen, especially to what was potentially a class leader in Don Donovan. We saw some good battles on track as we're watching right now. It looks like Gav Cook and Artur Hermanis. We caught a little bit of this on the stream where Artur's wasn't giving this spot up to Gav, so good hard battles. And yeah, I think the other kind of big surprise was just whatever happened there with Tyler and his race. Really unfortunate, the contact he had with Gav. We'll let the stewards decide the outcome on that one, but yeah, in the end, that unfortunately kind of threw his potential victory away, and then having to make a second stop, we're not sure what that's about, but we'll get the debrief from Tyler, I'm sure, post-race and after we're all wrapped up, and maybe we'll have a little bit more context heading into our race next week.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head of these exciting moments. And I know what will haunt me in my sleep tonight is the what if of Don Donovan. Just when you're looking at those timing tables, he ended up coming out, what was it, 0.3 of a second behind Gania, and it could have been just an epic battle for the end. And in those situations, the trailing driver, they always throw it into a corner at some point. You got to expect as a lead driver, at some point, they're going to throw it in. And yeah, that could have been a really exciting opportunity. And yeah, just the big what if of the day, if you will. But all in all, a really exciting race. Towards the end, everyone kind of got spread out, but nonetheless, I really enjoyed the race. I had a great time here, and I'm really looking forward to next week.
Yeah, me too, Dan. Yeah, great time. Enjoy being in the booth with you. Hopefully we put on a good show for everybody watching, and yeah, we'll see everyone next week as we sign off. Thanks, Dan.
All right, Morgan, have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.